Hello, I'm Keith.
I'm Kaye.
My Little Philipina.
Okay.
Today, I want to continue on where I left off on several vlogs ago, a little bit about my childhood. I think on my last, my last vlog, I told you a little bit about childhood. I was in a foster home, foster care. I was about maybe 6 or 7 years old, and my mother was in the hospital at that time. That's the story I was told. And me and my siblings, got split up. They sent me to one foster home, and they sent them to another foster home. I had 2 brothers and 1 sister. While at foster home, I was in kindergarten, I believe it was, or the 1st grade, and in school, we had a mini farm there that they raised chickens and rabbits and ducks and turtles and stuff like that. Well, my job was to take care of the rabbits. They taught me how to feed them, what to feed them, and take care of them, which I did. And during that time, well, anyway, summer came, and my teacher asked me that I wanted to take them home. She said I had to provide a nice place for them, a nice little cage to keep them in and all that. And they asked my foster parents, could I have them? And she said, sure, he can take them home, as long as I can provide a nice little place for them to stay, which I did. So I took the rabbits home, and I had everything ready for them. Every day I would go out and play with those rabbits. They were the only friends I had. I loved them. They were the only friends I had. I would play with them. They'd hop around and get all over me and everything, and I feed them, take care of them. One day, my foster parent, her husband, my foster mother's husband, asked me to go somewhere with him. And I did. I went to the store. I know we went to the store and some other place I just can't remember. Well, I know we were going a long time. By the time I got back, I went and immediately went to my rabbits like I do every time I come home. I go check and see where my rabbits, my friends. And I went and checked and looked around. I couldn't find them. And I asked my foster mother, where are my rabbits at? And they both looked at each other strange and everything, and they couldn't give me a direct answer right away, so I just went looking for them. I went looking around. So I looked in a chimney. A chimney is a little thing where you burn trash. We burned trash back in those days. They got trash trucks that comes now, but back then we burned trash in a chimney, they call it. Put all your trash in there and burn it. I went and looked at the chimney, and I saw blood all around it. I saw fur, the same color as my rabbits. And I screamed and yelled and asked, what happened to my rabbits? I was just yelling and screaming. So they came, pulled me to the side, and she looked at me, real crazy look in her eyes. I'll never forget that look. And said, Key, Annie had to cook your rabbits. We had something to eat for the, however she put it, but I couldn't believe it, and that smell, and I screamed and yelled and cried. I took me in the house. He had rabbits all on the table, fried and cooked, and that smell. I just screamed and yelled and cried out loud. And she kept yelling at me. She got angry because I wouldn't stop screaming. And she started yelling at me, be quiet, be quiet, be quiet. And then she went and got a card, big, thick telephone card. They were thick them days. And she said, I told you to shut up, and she started beating me with it. I wouldn't stop crying. She just kept beating me. And I still wouldn't stop crying until I fell asleep. It seemed like a long time, but I guess I fell asleep. And then I woke up, and I couldn't eat for a long time. I wouldn't eat. When she fed me, I just couldn't eat. All I can think about is my rabbits and what I saw, the fur, the blood, and them fried laying in a plate. And she had the nerve to want me to eat it. How can you be so cruel? That was such a bad experience for me. So anyway, I remember one day I was sitting on the porch, front porch, a nice sunny day, and this car drives up. And I'm looking, and stops in front of the house, and then all of a sudden this woman gets out, and I looked at her, and she was staring at me, and she came up to me and said, "Keith?" And I looked, and it was my mother. Oh my God, I was so happy, so relieved. It seemed like she was gone a long time. I was told that she was in the hospital. She had gotten sick, and they had to split my siblings up. I went to one home, and my two brothers and other sister went to a different home. And I went to this lady called Annie B. was her name, and they went somewhere else. So she said, the lady said to me, Mama come to get you. And I was so happy. I was so relieved that she came to get me. And and then I looked at her, and she looked at me, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I started crying. And I wouldn't tell her about my experience then. I told her later, but I wouldn't tell her then. And so, wow, sometimes I get the chills when I even think about that now, because they were the only friends that I had, those rabbits. And I love those little rabbits. But anyway, time went on. I mean, she came and got, but we moved to a place on 25th Street. And it was a nice area. I guess it was nice. I mean, it looked nice to me. But anyway, I met some other kids there, and we played together, and played kick in the can and volleyball and all kinds of games you played. And I used to go to an old theater around the street called the Lincoln Theater, and where we go see cheap movies. Movies were cheap then. And then from there we moved on to a place called 41st Street. We were constantly moving around. And like I said before, there was a Wrigley Field, a baseball stadium, not there. It's not there now. It's a park they built when they tore it down. But they used to have professional baseball games there. And from there, I moved to 83rd and Main Street, 83rd and Main Street. And I went to Bret Hart Junior High School. And back then, most of the schools out then were sort of integrated, different races. And but more African Americans were moving in, and the whites were moving out, because we were moving in in their communities. And it was a lot of racism still going on back then. And anyway, I went to Bret Hart. I graduated from Bret Hart, and then I went to moved from 83rd and Main. I moved to 76th Street when I went to Fremont High School, where I met my little first girlfriend. I was about 15 years old. And that didn't last too long, because she started, I guess some other guy, I guess I was too slow for her. It's a long story behind that, but that was sort of a hurting experience. You know how your puppy love thing is. But then also, a couple of years later, that's where, when I turned 18, I went to the military. I was stationed in the Army at Fort Hood, Texas. Now, I was a guy that grew up before the military. I grew up in the neighborhood. I was a nice guy. I never really did get involved in any type of bad activities. My mother always taught me well. She said, told me never to drink or smoke. It's bad for your health. Never even drink coffee. She said, smoking's not good for you, even though she smoked. I know that she smoked, but she would tell me not to do it, so I didn't do it. And she told me not to drink coffee. I never drink coffee. She said, coffee makes you dumb, so I never drank that, you know. And then she told me, especially alcohol. Well, she don't have to tell me about alcohol because I had experienced alcohol. I experienced what alcohol could do to you through other people drinking. I never touched it. But like I told you in my last video, how this person, my mother's friend, used to come home and beat her after they drank. Rudely cut off the TV and put on the jazz. I hated that time. I like it now, but I hated it that time. And used to beat her. And I used to jump up, running, fighting him, leave my mom alone, and kicking him and scratching him, and he's throwing me up against walls, and I attack him again, you know. But this went on for a long time. And finally, I came home. I mean, I was there. He didn't come over one Saturday. And next Saturday he didn't come. The next Saturday he didn't come. So I asked my mother, where is he at? Where is he at? Where is he at? Excuse me. His name was Dan. I never forget his name. Where's Dan? She said, well, he was in a bar fight and he got stabbed and he got killed. And, you know, I was so happy. Here I am, a young kid, happy that this man had gotten killed. I was joyful because I know he wouldn't come over no more and beat my mother. And I never forget how that alcohol looked. He used to bring home a bag full of alcohol. On the picture of the label on alcohol was a man riding carts with cherries in the bag, and the wine was sherry. I never forget that. And I told myself, whatever's in that alcohol, I am never going to drink it. Never. Kaye's back with me now, and I'm going to finish the story up to you, but I think I better do it a later date. But anyway, yeah, that's the reason why I don't drink alcohol today and never have, because that was a real bad experience I went through. Who'd like to see their mother getting beat every time this guy comes over and he's drinking alcohol? So that's the reason why I don't drink alcohol. I never smoked cigarettes. I listened to my mother, and she had died from lung cancer. That's another story we'll get to on my part 3 of this episode. But anyway, I grew up experiencing some things that were very traumatic to me, and I was a type of person. I listened to elders. I never had a father image in the house at all, so all I had was listen to my mother. And she taught us well. She taught us good, even though I had to experience some tough things. But anyway, I'm going to end this video now. And like I told you, I would continue the story a little bit about my childhood, because viewers been asking me about it. So anyway, if you like this video,
please subscribe down below.
Right. Please subscribe down below. And God bless you all, and have a great day. And we'll see you on the next Keith.
Okay.
My Little Philipina. Have a good day, y'all.